Shoba, I wanted to ask you about this conversation about advanced TV. You were on a panel earlier today with Samsung ads. You have a big background in TV. From a marketer's standpoint and from someone who's been in the industry, what's exciting around television now and what marketers can do, or what you would like to do?
Yeah, I think we're at a very exciting time in terms of the precipice of really utilizing data to inform a lot of our television buying. I think we've seen, the nascency of it with linear TV in general, but I think really as we pivot into the advanced TV arena, there's a plethora of options, right? You've got AVOD and SVOD and MVPDs and aggregators and sticks and boxes, and there's so many different incredible deterministic data sets available that PepsiCo, I think, is excited about leveraging and exploring. How can we really get more precise with our television buying, really reach audiences that are super young, that are potentially cod nevers, or audiences that even are like myself, slightly older demographic, but are cord cutters. And to speak to that particular audience, we would typically not reach through a typical linear TV upfront buy. So that's exciting, and I think being here at Adweek, some of the announcements with Target and Roundel and with the Disney partnership, presents what could potentially be a very interesting opportunity for us to explore the possibility of where we're now starting to see more of the publisher, the brand, and retailers coming together to really leverage the strengths of their partnership to make it more of a holistic closed-loop solution.
How do you go about leveraging the various available data that's coming online? This seems like there's a lot that's happening now.
Yeah, there's a ton of options. I think it's very overwhelming and confusing for brand marketers that have been doing this for a long time, like myself, and also for brand marketers that are, more accustomed to linear TV buys, and we're trying to bring them along the fold of this new digital arena. So it can be overwhelming. However, I will say with that comes the excitement, because we're really certainly looking at deterministic data sets. We want data that's deterministic, that has massive scale, that lends to a closed loop solution. So at the end of the day, we're a mass brand. We want to make sure we're reaching mass audiences. We're precise in the way we reach them, but data can really inform personalization, the way we talk to those individuals. So those creative and data points are starting to converge and makes for a more meaningful, intimate conversation with our customers. So those are the areas we're excited about, and I think those are the parameters we would take into account when evaluating vendors, evaluating platforms that can give us that solution.
And what about the creative side? Did we hear a lot about versioning, creative optimization? And the value of creativity, how does that work into the mix from your point of view?
Yeah, we're starting to see and leverage a lot of consumer insights within PepsiCo. Obviously, we've got an incredible insights team. We utilize those insights to inform a lot of our media buying. So what we'll do is typically utilize those insights, either work with the platform directly, like a Facebook or a Google, to match those insights to individuals they're seeing online, and then utilize that then to create like audience cohorts or segments that may be groupings of specific behavioral patterns, and then speak to those individuals with more creative and personalized messaging that might be more relevant, more valuable to them, and more meaningful to them based on what their preferences are and behavioral patterns are.
Where do you see that how might that develop, this sort of personalization of the message?
Well, as an example, Quaker, I think, is a great example. We did a pretty fantastic campaign in the UK. We had identified as PepsiCo 3 different cohorts of behaviors within a Quaker oatmeal audience. So we found that a lot of the people who are leaning towards health and fitness were either achievers, so they had really reached that fantastic high point. They knew exactly what their diet was, they worked out every day, and they were right at the top of the funnel. Then we had another group of people who we considered were the balancers. So they're probably people more like me. I work out some days, I don't the other days. I eat well some days, not so much the other days. And then finally, the third bucket was strivers. And the strivers were typically individuals that looked to the achievers, looked to, some of the other groups for advice, for health tips, and, how to lead a more healthy lifestyle. But in general, they were struggling a little bit more behind, could do better with their, eating habits and healthy behaviors. And so then based on these 3 groups, we actually worked with Google and YouTube, and there was a fantastic team in the UK that worked, hand in hand with them to identify who are these audiences that Google was seeing and how do we now reach them with messaging that's relevant. So a striver might see a woman who's in yoga attire, is really fitness oriented, and we communicate to that person with that particular creative. And a balancer might be someone who's family minded, or a single mom, and she's juggling her life, and so we speak to her with that creative. And as a result, we certainly saw a fairly large lift, not just in brand lift, but also in terms of sales lift. And so seeing that impact in terms of business outcomes is very powerful for us.